Hello and welcome to this MOJO Sport special episode where we bring you the latest sporting news and activity from Monash University and around the globe. We're joined today by MOJO News editors Jacob O'Brien and Adam Van Wyk as we discuss the AFL Grand Final, AFL-W, cricket, Formula One and much more. We would first like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as Indigenous people on the land from which we are broadcasting to you today. We would like to pay our respects to traditional owners past, present and emerging. Sovereignty was never ceded. But first, our top story is of course the AFL Grand Final, which saw the Brisbane Lions defeat Geelong by 47 points. It was a match between two heavyweights of the competition over the last few years, and Adam, it certainly lived up to the hype.
That's right, Harry. The two teams clashed really well. At halftime, you had a 36-36 score, which is the first time we've had a even score since 1909. It was absolutely incredible. The Lions came out in that third quarter firing with a huge surge from their superstar captain, Lachie Neale, and was subbed onto the ground. The second half was 13 goals. 6 were in favour of the Lions, who won by 47 points. What were some of your standouts, Jacob, on that one?
Well, it was a great game, really, wasn't it? And then I suppose sort of deteriorated a bit after half-time. But I looked first to obviously Will Ashcroft. It's quite incredible, really. Second Norm Smith medal in 2 years at 21. It makes me reflect on my life, actually, Adam. But
what are we doing? That's the question.
To have 32 and a goal in a grand final, really leading the way out of the midfield he was phenomenal for the Lions. And then I look at blokes like Zach Bailey, 3 goals, 6 in a grand finals. It's quite incredible.
Could have had 9.
Could have had 9.
Yeah.
Could have had 9. Still wouldn't have won him the Norm Smith if Ashcroft voters. But so he had a huge performance for the Lions. And then blokes like McLachlan and Zorko sort of off half-back running through the midfield really propelled the Lions in that third quarter when they had that surge sort of going forward. And then I think the big story coming into the game was Lachie Neale. And, you know, his calf popped in that prelim final and it was will he, won't he
Yeah, I feel like that was we had extensive coverage of that for at least a week.
I learned so much about calves. Yeah.
I know. I feel like I could now treat a calf now.
And then he comes on at half time. He didn't play the first half. He was the sub and he comes on with such a huge impact and the champion that he is. And you know, really propelled the Lions forward. And then I suppose for the Cats, Dempsey was probably the standout for them on the wing, running up and down 4 goals in a grand final, something to be sneezed at. Blokes like Holmes and Smith really got a fair bit of it through the midfield, but their disposal was what let them down. So yeah, it was quite interesting to see how they sort of fell away in that last quarter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if we pivot to topics outside the actual game itself and to talk about the Mad Monday performance out of the Cattery, where we had, there was quite a bit of controversy around some of the players and what they were wearing at the time. And there's been some other homophobic things that have been said in the last few weeks for the AFL. Obviously, Snoop Dogg being picked as a performer for the non-profit organisation. What do we have any thoughts on that? Is this an end of an era for the Cats banning Mad Monday, or do we think that it's been immature and it should have been gone a long time ago?
Well, look, it's certainly been quite a hallmark, particularly of Geelong in recent years gone by. And I think, you know, for the most part, everyone sees the humour in it. Yeah. But I think this time around, and particularly with the timing, it just probably wasn't an appropriate thing for Bailey Smith to do that. But, you know, we've got a great article on MOJO News currently about...
Indeed we do. Let's plug that, yes.
About all that happened, because, you know, we had Isaac Rankin make that comment in the final round of the season, which saw him get a 4-week suspension. Obviously, the Snoop Dogg performance as well, which in the end, I think most people were satisfied with.
It was really good.
They thought it was good. Yeah. You know, they incorporated Jessica Malboy and Baker Boy as well into that
It was really well done.
I think that really saved it, though, if you've got Jessica Malboy in particular as an Australian artist, having them in there really sort of diluted the situation because there was a lot of controversy around him as a pick at the time. So to throw them in as well sort of, you know, throw some water into the mud and makes it a little bit nicer to look at, you know. So I think that was a good call from the AFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he got $2 million, Snoop Dogg, to do that performance, so it was certainly a lot riding on it.
Where did the money come from for that? I'm very curious.
But there were also some other great storylines. Obviously, last year, Jacob, we saw Oscar McInerney dislocate his shoulder, and he got his medal in the end. What do we think of that?
Oh, it was great to see. And there's always these hard luck stories. We speak about them every year. You know, Max Holmes was one a couple of years ago for the Cats. But to see McInerney get his moment, I think he's so well loved amongst the Brisbane Lions and the fraternity that they have there. So to see him get up there, and then I suppose the same thing with Jared Berry this year, missing out in the prelim final. There's always these stories, but see McInerney, you know, the big double cobras on the stage was something we do love to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a lot more to come for the Lions in the next few years.
Absolutely, and plenty to think about for the Cats as well. I think
Yes.
personally for me, Jeremy Cameron's performance, he had that horrible collision in the second quarter.
It was incredible.
With Patrick Dangerfield, and it is confirmed he actually fractured his arm in that collision and continued to play through what I can only imagine would be immense pain. And for me, the standout moment, which I really thought was going to turn the Cats on, was when he did an incredible chase down tackle with one arm, tackled the player, holding the ball, and the Cats went down and kicked a goal.
Phenomenal.
And unfortunately, they just couldn't quite get up after that really great moment. But certainly a lot for Geelong to be very pleased
Very
about.
much so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that wasn't the only grand final that happened recently, with the Monash Blues women's AFL team also reaching the finals in a very successful season, and we followed their journey throughout their final series. Having finished the home and away season in second place, the Monash Blues Division 1 women's team looked to secure a historic premiership. MOJO News followed their final series and spoke with players and coaches over the journey. We begin our coverage at Monash University's main oval at the Clayton campus, where the Blues train. It's their prelim final this weekend, a do-or-die match against Whitefriars, and if they win, they'll be in the grand final. So there's plenty of excitement here, and we're looking forward to speaking to some of the team now.
We're going to have to work really hard to get across the line this week.
So really, our identity is almost like a home away from home for those people. It's do or die now, so either we win and we're in the grand final or it's season done.
So with training preparations now complete, it was time for the preliminary final. It's the final quarter here and the atmosphere is very tense. We've had more wind, more rain, and right now it could be anyone heading to the grand final. It is very tight here. There are minutes to go and we have Monash kicking for the win potentially. It is just a matter of points between the two teams with time running out, and currently one of the Monash players is just about to have a kick for goal. Let's see how she goes. And she's got it. It's a goal for Monash. They are on their way to a grand final with minutes to go. It's going to be very hard for the Whitefriars to come back from this. It could be Monash taking on Glen Eira in the grand final. Time is not over just yet though. They will still need to defend this lead, but it is looking very promising. So it was Monash winning by 7 points, 3 goals 8-26 to Whitefriars, 3 goals 1-19. And we got to catch up with the match winner, Serie-Ruiz, at training.
I was super jet lagged, and all my mind was thinking of was just mark this ball, mark this ball, mark this ball. Miraculously marked it and probably kicked the goal of my career. In the 9 years I've been playing here at Monash, that was the best feeling, the best goal I think I've ever kicked.
How would you describe the Monash Blues Premier Division women's team?
I think they are a great group of people. They're very resilient and tough. It's great to see a lot of the younger generation coming through, and the level of skill that they have is unbelievable.
The grand final saw Monash taking on a Glen Eira side that was undefeated for the season, with both sides finding the goals in windy conditions. It's quarter time here currently, and Ethan, how did you see the first quarter?
Well, we're all tied up here at Morley Reserve, 1-3-9 for both sides. A couple of near misses for both. Looks like it's going to be a good game. Well, the final siren has sounded here at Morley Reserve. Glen Eira taking the win. What did you make of it, Harry?
Yeah, so final score 44, Glen Eira to 23 for Monash. And ultimately, I think the scoreboard probably doesn't quite reflect the game. There were certainly periods of that match, particularly in the last couple of quarters, where Monash looked very strong. But ultimately, Glen Eira's defence was just too good. They had a clear tactic to put their defenders back, and ultimately that got them the win. So it was a very exciting game and a big crowd here. I'd say it was probably about 1,000 people watching the game today, supporting on their teams, and ultimately Glen Eira take away the grand final for this year, but it was a fantastic game. Full time here at Morley Reserve, and Sarah, it was a tough game today, but you guys fought very hard. How'd you see it?
Look, we gave it our all. We left everything we had out on the field. Really proud of our team. They did amazing, and unfortunately we just didn't get across the line today.
Look, I think our effort was absolutely amazing. I couldn't be prouder of the group and all the players. We've got some amazing people at Monash, and every player out there gave it their all. You would have seen it, their determination, the way they were putting pressure on, their tackling. They hit the ball so hard. Couldn't ask any more out of them. But really looking forward to, hopefully the group can stick together next year. Maybe get a few more recruits who are watching this come down as well. It's a fantastic club, and we can go one better next year.
Despite the loss, there is no doubt that Monash will be competing for the premiership once again in 2026.
Ethan Taylor.
Amalia, Serie-Ruiz.
Harry Cumming, MOJO News. Well, a very big thank you to the Monash Blues team for having us down, and well done for making it to the grand final. But it does segue very well into our next segment on the AFL-W. And how good have the Kangaroos been, Alina?
Crazy 10th season, and the Kangaroos have been leading. And Rahul, who do you think are going to be their competitors?
Well, the competitors right now, the Kangaroos, are really themselves, really. Can they stay fit? Can they stay healthy to make it to the grand final and win their second flag in a row? They've just absolutely dominated everything that's gone in between them. The best and first for the AFL-W looks like it's going to be a contest between two Kangaroos in Jazz Garner and Ash Riddell. It's just incredible, really. They're on a 19-game and counting winning streak. For the record, across men's and women's AFL, the longest winning streak is Geelong's 23 consecutive wins across 1952 and 1953. The Roos are hunting them down on the spot. For the context, North Melbourne's men's team, we've known their struggles. They've only won 20 games since 2020. So the women's team is absolutely flying for the Kangaroos right now at Arden Street.
And what about Hawthorn? Because as of our recent statistics, they are second in the lead. Do you think that they have a chance of dethroning North Melbourne?
Hawthorn are obviously an incredible side. They just recently beat Fremantle. You've obviously got Melbourne, you've got Adelaide, you've got Sydney. They're all competitors, and you would have to think, logic suggests that North Melbourne have to lose a game at some point. But they're such a strong team. Essendon gave them a run for their money last week. They held North Melbourne scoreless in the first quarter, but the Kangaroos still scored 71 points. So they've just got so much firepower, and it'll be really interesting to see if they can keep this momentum up.
Thank you, Rahul. But talking about from top teams to top players, talk about Ali Anderson and Ebony Marinoff right now, Harry.
Yeah, well, they just reached 100 games, which happened in the grand final week as well. So it was very good timing with all the festivities. But in the 10th season of AFL-W, it's a massive, massive achievement for those two players who really have been absolute stalwarts of the competition. And both of them winning premierships, both of them have just absolutely dominated for their clubs. And I think it really just shows that the AFL-W is moving into that next phase of growth, which is so wonderful to see. And I think ultimately it's just incredibly impressive. The competition started with 8 teams in 2017, and it was a very short season. So to reach 100 games as we've progressed to an 18-team competition is really a remarkable achievement.
And talking about this future of the competition, what about the young superstars at the moment? Who are they?
Oh, absolutely. And they're brilliant to watch as well. So we had the #1 draft pick, Ash Centra, for Collingwood. Before she'd even played her first game, had gone viral for being able to bounce the footy between her legs. And then, of course, on the field, she's been kicking goals. We've had Zippy Fish, who has the best name in the AFL, I reckon.
Even better player than a name. What a superstar she is off halfback for Sydney.
Oh, absolutely. And so she's got a Rising Star nomination already. And then we've also got Havana Harris up at the Gold Coast doing brilliant things there too. So the future is incredibly bright, Alina. And I'm really excited to see over the next few years how this competition continues to grow.
And talking about more clubs, better players, what about fan engagement? Because in a recent Sydney Swans game, we had a crowd attendance of over 6,000. Tell me, both Harry and Rahul, what are your thoughts about this progression in AFL-W culture?
Well, it's remarkable, isn't it? We started in 2017 and we've come so long, 18-club competition. It's really interesting to see what Sydney have done. They're averaging over 5,000 fans a game. For the record, second place is Carlton, who are only less than 4,000. So Sydney are obviously doing something right. The way they manage both their men's program and women's program and have it as a one-club entity is really strong. And they're one of the most exciting teams in the competition, really. With obviously Zippy Fish, you've got other players like Chloe Malloy and Laura Gardner. They're really an exciting team to watch, and it's great for the fans as well. We want to see exciting games of footy, and that's what the Swans are providing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, like, the Sydney Swans versus GWS game, the Battle of the Bridge, as I like to call it, up there, had 7,171 people, which was a club record for Sydney. And it just goes to show that footy is really big in that state and continues to grow. And I think the fans also enjoy, like, they're being played at the old VFL grounds in Melbourne, and for a lot of people, it's very nostalgic. It takes them back to a different era of footy. But of course, now it's bringing the new and the old together. And I think it's so wonderful to see.
Well, since there's so much fan engagement, why not more games? There is debate about AFL-W season becoming longer so that each team can play each other once. What are your thoughts? Should this happen or not?
I mean, I think it eventually will happen. You'd think AFL-W, right now it is still a part-time competition. Most of the AFL-W players still have full-time jobs outside of their playing commitments. You'd think as the league becomes more professional, it's inevitable that it goes to a full-time season. When that comes, I don't know, but I mean, I certainly hope, and I know many fans will hope that certainly comes in the near future. Harry?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So currently, it's a 12-round home and away season. So there are 18 teams in the competition, which, if my maths serves me correctly, means there should be 17 rounds to ensure that each team can play each other once. And I think that's the logical next step for the game, so that there is a little bit more equity in the draw. Some coaches and players have said in the past that they'd like to see that. And I think, with the numbers that we're talking about and the players who are coming into the game, it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. And hopefully something that they bring in really soon. And something as well that should pair really well with the men's and the women's competitions together. Having double headers at the same venue. I think there's just so many opportunities for the AFL to really continue to evolve the game.
Well, it sounds very exciting for the AFL-W. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Rahul. Well, that's all for our coverage of the footy across all the different leagues. But before we move on to our next segment, it's time for the halftime break.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Yasmin Bouzas from MOJO News with the Halftime Bulletin. The Melbourne Fringe Festival season has officially arrived, celebrating 43 years of creativity with a diverse program showcasing dance, music and queer comedy. Among the must-see theatre highlights such as Lady Macbeth played wing defence, an award-winning girl power musical stage on the netball court, and Damalamoroy, where two rivers meet, a dance and physical theatre work fusing Korean and Australian creatives. Continuing with theatre news, Monash University's own uni student theatre group is currently rehearsing for its opening performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream, a Shakespeare classic tale of love, desire and transformation. Co-directors Kieran O'Bale and Sasha Ackland say, "Our cast and crew have made every day working on this project extremely exciting and fulfilling. Rehearsal rooms are full of energy and great ideas, and we can't wait to share Shakespeare's iconic comedy with you." Performances are happening from October 16th to October 25th at the Monash Clayton campus. In sport, Snoop Dogg was the latest international artist to perform before this year's AFL Grand Final game. The US rapper lit up the MCG, marking it as one of the most memorable pre-game shows in recent history. There have been previous complaints about the drop it like a top performer entering Australia based on public concerns about his song lyrics. Meanwhile, a team of researchers, including a Monash Uni expert, have found a new initiative using artificial intelligence to help protect fragile ecosystems. While studying the Great Barrier Reef, the project has developed tools to help with management of ecosystems and conservation decision-making. And finally, in a move set to advance international education, Monash University and Indonesian partners have announced a new venture. From 2026, they will welcome undergraduate students directly in Monash's Indonesia campus. The initiative aims to broaden access to world-class education and strengthen educational ties between Australia and Indonesia. From theatre and sport to science, Melbourne and Monash continue to make headlines and set the agenda. This is Yasmin Bouzas with MOJO News. Back to you.
This 14th of September, Monash Sport is hosting Hype Night at Clayton campus. We're expecting motivating speeches, an energizing DJ, and on-the-go food to help fuel up the athletes. I'm Rahul Deepak Kumar, and let's go meet my colleague who's already getting hyped.
The Pre-Uni Nationals event, bringing together over 200 elite athletes in a wide variety of sports. I'm Alina, Ivanova, and today we're going to showcase to you the best of the best in Monash sport.
Thank you, Brett, and everyone that's put on tonight, and for our athletes, amazing. So good to see such a healthy turnout.
There are a range of sports, from cheerleading to table tennis. But what they all have in common is a passion for representing Monash. Monash! Welcome back to the MOJO Sports Special, and we hope you enjoyed that package there about the Monash Sport Hype Night ahead of the Unisport Nationals on the Gold Coast. There is plenty happening with more Monash stories to come, but right now we're turning our attention to a huge summer of cricket. And Jacob, it doesn't get much bigger than the Aussie men's team playing England this summer with the Ashes.
It certainly doesn't, Rahul. It's always great, the Ashes and all the fanfare that comes with it. You know, the English crowd, the Barmy Army will come across. They'll be in full voice at the MCG and, you know, rivalry in action. I think it's really interesting to see from an Australian perspective coming into this summer. It's sort of unprecedented that we don't have a settled top of the lineup. You know, we've rotated a few blokes through that number 2 spot with Khawaja, and you know, Labuschagne was dropped after the last series. Will he take that spot back? Will Cam Green come in? I think these are the talking points that we're going to see popping up over the next few months. We've got a few Sheffield Shield matches. I think there's 4 Sheffield Shields coming up and a few blokes that are playing county over in England. So it'll be really interesting to see where the selectors go with that and who sort of comes out of the pack. And then I think always, you know, that's the focus because the bowlers are they're just so reliable. And on Australian pitches, I don't think there's any
bowling attack in the world.
Yeah, there's not really any qualms about them. But I think it'll be really interesting to see what England come out with and their sort of revamped lineup. What are you thinking on that front?
Well, yeah, their revamped lineup, you know, Bazball in all its glory. It's the first time that, you know, this lineup under Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum are coming down under. You know, it's certainly been entertaining, certainly had a lot of talking points. Will it be successful? Will jury's still out? You know, it'll be interesting to see how the English batters go on these Australian pitches. The English pitches have been a lot slower and a lot flatter in the last few years. And in the last few years, the Australian pitches have been a lot more spicy, a lot more bowler-friendly. It'll be interesting what the likes of Zach Crawley, Ollie Pope, Harry Brook, how they're going to go. And obviously, you know, you can't mention England without mentioning Joe Root. You know?
Of course. Yeah.
He's done it all in his career. The one thing he hasn't done, though, is score 100 in Australia. And you'd think that for England to claim the Ashes for the first time since 2015, he is going to have to play a pivotal role in this series.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that is the last thing he needs to tick off, really, in a very, very decorated career. But also, we saw the last Ashes series went down with quite a significant thing happening with Johnny Bairstow obviously being stumped by Alex Carey. Do you think there's still going to be a bit of bad blood? It was back in 2023, so some time has passed, but still.
Oh, the Australian and English, they have long memories, so, you know. You know, the Ashes are always spicy. It's great, you know, across the white line. It's the oldest cricketing rivalry, probably one of the oldest sporting rivalries in the world. So you'd be foolish to think that some controversy isn't going to pop up, but that's what makes the Ashes so great, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it all kicks off in Perth Stadium next month in November. But we've also got the Big Bash as well, BBL 15. Can you believe it? I feel like I remember BBL 1 yesterday. But we've seen one of the biggest signings in BBL history. Rahul, can you talk a bit more about it?
Well, it is huge because Ravi Ashwin, the Indian spinner who retired last year, is signed for the Sydney Thunder, the first Indian male player to sign in the Big Bash. So that's going to be huge. We know that the Thunder, led by their captain David Warner, you know, they finished runners-up last season, you know, losing to the Hurricanes. With this signing of Ashwin, can they go one better? It'll be really interesting. We've also got the Australian women playing in the Women's Cricket World Cup over in India and Sri Lanka this month. And, you know, Australia's women's cricket team is so dominant.
So dominant.
You know, they've won 7 ODI World Cups. They won in 2022, the Cup in New Zealand. You'd be foolish to bet against them, but you know, you've got India on home soil. They're going to be tough to beat. You've also got the likes of England and South Africa and New Zealand. So the Aussie women will have their work cut out, but Surely you'd think they're favourites.
They'll get over the line, I think,
No, it'd be pretty good. And then, of course, a very big summer at home as well for our Aussie women in the big tri-format series against India. So there's certainly plenty to look forward to.
And they're playing a test at the Wacker, would you believe it? So
good to
test
see.
cricket back at the Wacker.
It's very good to see. And look, I think it's going to be a huge summer of cricket for both our men's and women's teams. So looking forward to it.
Certainly will be.
Certainly got a huge summer of cricket. Before we got to our final segment of the program, it's well known that Monash is stacked for up-and-coming athletes in a variety of sports. Our team got to chat to some of them ahead of the Unisport Nationals.
Excitement is building for the Unisport Nationals up at the Gold Coast. Monash Sport is sending their elite teams to compete in a variety of sports. We met with the captains of Team Monash.
Not only is Mineth Navaratna one of the captains for Team Monash, he is also an elite athlete and captain of the tennis team.
I think my mum was always a big tennis fan, and she loved watching Roger Federer on the TV. So I think I was at school and they were doing those little tennis camps for a few hours, and I got the flyer, and my mum signed me up, and then that was it. That was 15 years of my life.
Mineth is leading the tennis team to the Uni Nationals to compete against major rivals, the University of Sydney, the winner for 2 years running.
I think we have a great chance. I think we've all got a very solid team. And if you look at his serve right there, it's a huge serve. But I think everyone's we've got a few first timers. Everyone's really excited. Everyone's really keen.
Another star athlete is the team captain for table tennis, Ellen Walker. She's been playing at Monash Varsity since 2021, making it her 5th year and her 3rd time competing at Uni Nationals.
My favourite part about Monash Varsity Sport, probably all the different types of people you can meet. Not just people from your course, but all the types of people who all share a love for sport, but doesn't have to be the same sport. So it's been quite a journey. So I just started with playing, maybe once or twice a week, pretty casually. But then I guess it picked up a bit in sometime during high school. I just got really passionate about it and just wanted to keep playing more and more.
Mineth and Ellen are leading the Uni Nationals team with positivity and hard work and are hoping to achieve gold. Rahul, Deepak, Kumar, MOJO News.
Thanks very much for that package, Rahul. Certainly many great athletes here at Monash. And Jacob, we're now moving into our rapid fire segment. What's going on in the Formula One?
Formula One, coming towards the end of the season, we're out of the mid-season break now. 6 races left, 3 sprints. It's all about Oscar Piastri for us here in Australia. Can he get over the line? He's leading the championship by 25 points ahead of his teammate Lando Norris. It's been the McLarens for most of the season. Verstappen has won the last few races, so we need we need to wheel Oscar across the line to get him to the first Australian to win a World Drivers' Championship since 1980 with Alan Jones. So fingers crossed for Oscar. And the tennis that's coming to the end of the season?
It is. And look, it's been another season dominated by Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. I think it's been fascinating since the 2024 Grand Slam Australian Open. It's been just Sinner or Alcaraz. Both of them have won 4 Grand Slams each. The new 2, as they're calling it. So we've had the big 4, now the new 2. Who can join them and maybe be part of the big 3?
And the women's, Sabalenka.
She's absolutely dominating again. World number 1. She's been a bit unlucky in some of the Grand Slam finals, going down to a few different players, but won the US Open and certainly looks poised to potentially win the women's finals over in Riyadh. So plenty happening there. But Adam, moving over to you and the netball, what happened in the grand final?
It was an absolute nail-biter of a game. The Vixens pipped West Coast Fever by 1 singular point in their nail-biter of a grand final. It was wonderful to see the support of the Vixens, of their coach, Simone McInnes, who's been there since 2012 and has clearly led them to an excellent victory. What about the NFL? What's happening in that space?
Yeah, there's certainly been plenty of focus on the Chiefs. Obviously, Travis Kelce, a very big name player, Patrick Mahomes. But they went down their first 2 games, 0-2. Started to look like potentially the era of their dominance could be over. But they've drawn back to 2 games all now, 2 wins and 2 losses. But currently the Philly Eagles and Buffalo Bills are 4-0, both looking very good. And of course, the big news for the Super Bowl is that Bad Bunny is doing the halftime performance. So what do we think about that?
Well, look, I'm not as big a fan of his as you are potentially, but I'm sure that it's an excellent pick from the NFL. I'm sure that they will be an excellent performance in the Super Bowl. It is the halftime show is the main attraction for the NFL for the Super Bowl, as lots of people tune in for that. So yes,
yeah, definitely.
I think it's a good call.
Absolutely. And what about the soccer? We've seen Ange Postecoglou back in the coaching box, but
well,
not
Harry,
starting too well.
I would definitely call it football, but Ange Postecoglou moving over to Nottingham Forest after being pipped from Tottenham Hotspur. It was an interesting call from Tottenham. He had a somewhat lacklustre season there, but ended up getting booted just after winning a trophy, which was very newsworthy here. We're also wondering if Arsenal will win the trophy this year. I would say second, because they're second.
That's what they always finish.
Sam Kerr made a comeback from an ACL injury, along with Ellie Carpenter joining her at Chelsea. So looking forward to the Women's World Cup that's coming up in the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
To watch those two in those space. What about the golf, Jacob? What's happening with the Ryder Cup?
Ryder Cup was huge. Obviously, every 2 years, America versus Europe. It was high tensions there. The Europeans got out to this, huge lead days 1 and 2, and they thought they had it, and the Americans came back like a steam train. They fell short by just one match, but the controversy was around. There was a whole bunch of abuse being thrown both ways, fans, players. There was, heaps of controversy about, Rory McIlroy's wife who was getting things thrown at her, and it was quite rowdy. We saw videos emerging from the team bus of the Europeans singing, songs at the Americans. It was quite rowdy for a golf tournament, which is usually...
And Trump didn't make an appearance at that golf tournament?
No appearance from him.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Just soccer, I think, that he crashes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly sounds like there's been plenty happening in the golf.
Plenty.
And all the other sports as well. But if all this sport talk has got you desperate to get into some training, then this package is for you as we take a look at some of the world-class facilities and programs here at Monash.
Sitting is the new smoking. It's that time of year. University students are slouched over a computer screen and living rather sedentary lifestyles. In fact, the Australian Bureau of Statistics have revealed that only less than 25% of adults are engaging in the required levels of physical activity every day.
Balancing study, work and a social life means many students push physical health to the bottom of the priority list.
This lack of activity has a large impact on the health and well-being of students, with studies finding that a lack of physical movement can reduce cognitive function and increase our risk of obesity and heart disease.
Luckily, simple changes to our lifestyles can improve our well-being. Monash Sport offers an extensive range of fitness facilities for students at discounted rates. Monash encourages students to utilise active transport to get to and from campus. It's not only great for your health and fitness, but it's also excellent for the planet.
Monash also has many sporting clubs which students can join on either a casual or varsity basis. There are over 5,000 members of Monash sporting clubs, right from the well-known sports such as AFL, cricket and basketball, all the way down to the niche world of water skiing, ultimate frisbee and jiu-jitsu.
Rahul, Deepak, Kumar and Adam Van Wyk, MOJO News.
Well, there's no shortage of options for sport or exercise right here at Monash. But that's all we've got time for today. Thank you to our wonderful panel members and reporters and all those behind the scenes as well. We hope you've enjoyed this production. See you next time.